How's it going? Welcome back. My name is Ed. Today I'm going to be going over some laws that you might be breaking, might not even know about it. Actually, chances are you probably do know about it. But let me know in the comments how many of these laws you have broken. So quick disclaimer on this video. This is not legal advice. Don't sue me. Laws vary from state to state quite a bit. All right, first thing we're going to go over is going to be the ride height. So many states don't have a direct law on how low your actual vehicle can be. But there is other laws that determine how low your vehicle can be. I may not have a Stanley Cup, but I got a Stanley tape measure. Most states, the law is going to be from the center of the headlight to the ground can be no less than 24 inches, or in some places 22 inches. On top of the headlights, there'll usually be, not always, but there'll usually be some kind of marking to the center of the headlight. Either a little line somewhere or a dot or something like that to mark where the center of the actual headlight is. And it's the center of the headlight reflector portion, not the entire assembly. So if you got something like a Ford Focus, it's not the center from the top here to the bottom, it's the center of this part here. So this car's lowered a few inches, and we'll see what this is. I am at 24 3/4. So I could drop this another 3/4 of an inch and still be legal. Nissan's headlights tend to sit up a little higher. So if you get something like an Acura Integra, those headlights only sit like 25 inches from the factory. So when you lower it 2 inches, you're already going to be legal on it. There's also, I think it's Maine. Don't quote me on that, but they actually have a law saying your ride height cannot be adjusted up or down more than 2 inches. That's the only place I can think of that has a direct law regarding modifying your suspension for the ride height. Other places, for example, I think Hawaii and a bunch of other places that have front license plates, there's going to be a minimum height for that front license plate. Most places is about 12 inches from the bottom of the plate to the ground. So even if you can get your headlights to clear, doesn't mean your factory license plate mounting location is going to clear when you lower your car. While we're here talking about headlights, most places require the headlights and the taillights to have a DOT stamp on there. And so if you look at the headlights, somewhere along the headlights will have a DOT marking on there. And the taillights will have that too. What you can find is some aftermarket headlights do not have that DOT, and they would be technically illegal. I don't know how many police officers would go to look in that kind of detail to see if it has a DOT marking on the assembly, but just know it's illegal. And if you piss off a cop bad enough and he knows about it, he could get you a ticket for it. So now we got to talk about taillight requirements. Now this isn't a particular requirement for the taillight itself, it's a requirement for the rear of the car. The rear of the car is required to have a red reflector in the rear. Also, the front is required to have an amber reflector to be legal. As you notice in this car, in the very center of the light, there's a red reflector. Of course, it is on the car itself because it's the same taillight. All cars from the factory will have a red reflector in the rear of the car. So like what Mazda does and other companies do that don't put the reflector in the assembly itself, they'll put it on the bumper, on the rear part of the bumper. That way they still have the red reflector, the car is still legal and DOT approved. Let's talk about wheels and tires. Most places don't have any particular laws on tires besides safety stuff. You know, you can't run slicks on the road. You gotta have tread and stuff like that. There is one place, Maine, I believe. If I said Maine earlier, I think it's for this law. You can change your wheel size to any size you want, and you can change your tire size just as long as the overall diameter of the wheel does not change from the factory. So if you got a 15-inch wheel with a smaller tire on there from the factory and you want to put bigger wheels on it, as long as the tire doesn't get any bigger diameter, you're fine. Unfortunately, most times when you put bigger wheels on, the tires, you can only make them so skinny, so you're gonna have a bigger diameter tire. But chances are that's not gonna apply where you live. So I wouldn't worry about that too much unless you live in Maine. I don't know why I'm picking on Maine so much. I'm sorry. While we're here and I'm laying on the ground, let's go over Exhaust. So the exhaust laws do vary quite a bit. Some places have a set decibel. It can't be above 88 decibels at 35 miles an hour. But the way the exhaust laws state in different places is quite a bit different. In general, a lot of places basically state if an exhaust is modified and makes excessive noise, it's illegal. If it's not working properly, like there's holes in it, it is illegal. Some places state even if an exhaust is modified in a way to alter the volume of the exhaust, it is considered illegal in certain states. So in some states, yeah, you can put an exhaust on, you can make it a little louder and be legal as long as it's not considered excessive. And what is excessive? And that's probably the issue, is a lot of places don't have a black and white line as what is excessive and what is not. A lot of that's going to depend on how good your lawyer is, I guess. There is places that actually state you are not allowed to modify or alter the exhaust in any way. So you need to have your mufflers and stuff like that. But it also means you can't reroute the exhaust to the side of the car. The only time I've ever got pulled over for exhaust is when I was doing dumb shit. Now this is going to be pretty much illegal everywhere. Anything to do with emissions. You have your pre-cat on your car, your first catalytic converter, and you replace it with a set of headers. Well, guess what? That's illegal. You put a O2 spacer to get rid of that check engine light. That's illegal. Put one of these defeat harnesses on your car. Not that I would ever do anything like that. I would never do anything like that. It's illegal. If you remove this catalytic converter, it's illegal. If you punch a hole through it and make it hollow, it is illegal. I would never do anything like that. I don't know why. It's not there anymore. This is not on the car, so it's legal. It's not on public roadway. Also, any kind of tuning that defeats emissions is illegal. Speaking of that, what I think is the stupidest thing ever is how the EPA is going after these tuners for tuning cars. What they're doing when you're tuning is you're making the car run better, more efficient. What happens when you do that? Car runs cleaner, less emissions. But some of them do turn off the O2 sensors and stuff like that. So that's illegal. Not that I would ever do that myself. All right, next we're going to be talking about window tint. It varies from state to state. Like Hawaii, I think it's 35%. That's where I'm from. Where I live now, I think it's like 28%. There's tint laws where you live, and you're going to probably want to know what they are if you're worried about it. Like this right here is 20% that identifies as 30%. But not only do you have to worry about your windows, and it varies from like front windows and back windows depending on the state. Some states is like it can only be 35 all the way around. Other states you can go darker on the back and a little bit lighter on the front. But one thing that they all do have in common is the windshield strip. You'll see right there they have a little line right there. The tint cannot go past that line. So anything below that line is now illegal. So my line's in the wrong spot on the truck. Also, tinting your front windshield, that should be pretty obvious, but that is going to be pretty much illegal everywhere. There's places that allow up to like 80%. But what's the point of doing 80% tint on the front windshield? That's practically clear at that point. Now, not all cars have the line on the driver's side. Focus has the line here on the passenger side, right there. I don't know, for some reason that line's in the wrong spot too. My tint is correct. Somehow they put the line in the wrong spot when they put the window in from the factory. Don't know how that happened. Now there's places like California where the laws are a lot stricter. I mean, you can't even put a freaking intake on your car without worrying about getting pulled over and getting a ref, and then, yeah. Stupid. California's stupid. I'm so glad I don't live in California. I don't know how anybody can be a car person in California. Like, I would not be in the cars, I think, if I lived in California. Like, why? You can't do anything. You can't do anything fun. And when you do, you got to worry about getting, pulled over and getting state refed and stuff like that. If you live in California, let me know in the comments how you deal with that shit, because I don't know. I don't think I could do it. I really don't. Anyway, thank you for watching. Aloha. Peace out.